Early reactions say that Disney's Mulan is stunning, sexy, and you won't miss the songs. That is the headline on today's MBE Movie News. And yes guys, as I did allude to in that hopefully not too cringe-worthy inducing intro, yes, Disney's Mulan has had its first few screeners out in the wild, and a whole array, a plethora if you like, of critiques have been coming out and sharing their views on this upcoming Disney remake, the latest in a long line of Disney remakes. Now, I'm very excited for this movie. I'm very pleased to see that it is indeed still releasing in its original release slot. Of course, there has been a whole array of movies moved around about the calendar in the face of the ever-growing coronavirus threat. And look, I'll not get bogged down with that just yet. I will be speaking about that later on in the show. There is another movie being moved that's been given the switcheroo treatment. No, I will talk about Disney's Mulan's early reactions first and foremost. Now, I have got my iPad to the side of me here. I will read off some of the more prominent early reactions. First one up was coming from Angie G. Han, and I believe it's a she, has been saying that Mulan is the best Disney live-action remake since Cinderella. I didn't even miss the songs. Finds few new notes in a story we already know, while delivering gorgeous action, heart and humour. Louis Yeffy she's done a series of emojis, stars, she's on fire and whatnot. Also surprisingly sexy for a Disney movie. Case in point, the very loud "oh my god" that was uttered in the theatre when your son Anne took off his shirt. So, I mean, that's intriguing. That we're getting slightly darker vibes going on, slightly sexual vibes going on. I'm all for that. And as we did know, it got I want to say it was a PG-13 rating. The first PG-13 rating for a Disney live-action movie since a long time ago. So it's nice to see that they're doing something different. And this is an intriguing early reaction. It's got my anticipatory juices watering even more. And the next one's coming from Alison Foreman, and she's been saying that Disney's Mulan remake leaves a lot behind but offers much more in its absence. Plenty of 1998 throwbacks pepper a story full of incredible action, humour and heart. Oh, and the romantic chemistry gets steamy, like chanting kiss in a silent theatre steamy. Don't know what to make of that, but look, again, I was immediately blown away by this movie when I seen the first trailer with Stephen, and then I seen the subsequent trailer thereafter, and I reacted to it on my own. I thoroughly enjoyed what I was getting on the screen. A story about a young girl who had been shoehorned into a specific role that she didn't want to, that she didn't fit or feel a connection with. This sort of princess role where you're having tiaras thrust into your hair, you're being peppered with makeup, and she was a bit of a tomboy. She wanted to go out there and fight for her family's honour. And we have says time and again, I always make the connection to Eowyn of the Rohirrim in The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien did this very same subplot 60, 70, 80 years ago in that magnificent sort of trilogy of incredible stories. And I always make that distinction between the two, from the trailers and the story of Eowyn, this female finding enlightenment, finding power in herself and going and doing something that's against the grain in this sort of setting. And it was something that really intrigued me. The fact that they are doing a sort of more steamy sexual sort of story is interesting, because of course Disney is still primarily catering to younger demographics in the main, but they always want to touch base upon just about every demographic out there. So it seems like they're maybe going down a slightly different route with this movie. And look, as a 31-year-old guy, I'm all for that. But it'll be interesting to see if this is perhaps something they will look to do with subsequent remakes. Maybe put a different shine on them. Maybe do something that's a little bit more nuanced. The adults will see what's happening, but it's more intelligent in its handling, perhaps like a Pixar movie, and that children won't pick up on the obvious sexual overtones, or undertones I should say. Another reaction coming in from Kirsten Acuna. I have no idea who that is, but look, she's probably more famous than me. In fact, I know she's more famous than me. What a silly thing to say, John. She says, is absolutely fantastic. Mulan, that is. Different enough with great action scenes, but with the heart of the original film. It doesn't even matter that it's not a musical. If you're a fan of the animated, There are subtle nods to many of the songs. Can't wait to see this again. Well, you lucky git, I can't wait to see it for the first time. Not again. But again, I'm glad to see it's getting an overwhelmingly glowing review. I'll go through a couple of more little feedbacks or reactions, and then I'll move swiftly on. I don't want to get bogged down and go on and on and on, but I am excited for this movie, so I want to reference a couple other ones. We've got Michael Lee. He says Mulan is one of the best live action adaptations of a Disney animated classic. It honours the 1998 film and the ballad by modernising themes of female empowerment, as I did say, and iconic scenes, whilst also standing out with great cinematography. Battle sequences are reminiscent of Wuxia epics. Now, I don't know what they are, can't lie, but again, glad to see it's paying homage to the 98 classic whilst doing something different, giving us a new take on the story. This is something that a lot of people have been criticising Disney for, the fact that they are just going over doing the exact same story, a beat for beat, shot for shot remake, and they find that to be absolutely abhorrent, that they are lacking in soul, they're lacking in what the original had, that va-va-voom, to quote Thierry Henry from the early 2000s. And look, they're doing it differently here, and it's something I picked up on early on with the trailers, as I did say. Tanya Lamas says Mulan is about a warrior, and that warrior is a legend. Thank you from all the female warriors that needed this kick-A movie. It's different from the animated version, and I'll be proud to show my daughters this film. So look, that's great that it's empowering young girls around the world, and just younger people who are connecting with this character on the screen. It's empowering them, and it's showing them that look, they can do anything in the world if they put their heart and soul to it and really try. And that's something that we've had an abundance of. Being a white male, I've had an abundance of hero figures on the screens over my 31 years on this planet, and it's nice to see other people getting a shot at that. Although look, we've had that before, but that's a different story. I'll not get down representation and goddamn gender representation on films and whatnot. That's a rabbit hole. Final one I will touch upon will probably be the overwhelmed Titania. No idea who that is. Mulan is a gorgeous film that pays homage to the ballad of its origin, and Yefei Liu gives a fantastic performance. Songs and Mishu are missed, but other adaptation changes serve the story well, and it fits the tone. P.S. Yosonan is as great, not Shang. Is a great Shang. I'm having a mare here, and the love story still works. So again, we're getting this nuanced story, a fresh retelling of it, a sort of empowering story for this female character, but she has a love interest, and that perhaps shuts up some of the people who were a little bit incandescent that Mushu wasn't in it, and the reasonings behind it, that he was, I don't know how they were suggesting that. I think it was something to do with Me Too or something like that. They didn't want to include the character, and a lot of people weren't happy about this supposed openly bisexual character not appearing. But look, apparently this Yoso Anan is a great substitute. So look, I can't wait to see the movie. I'm happy it's getting overwhelmingly positive feedback from the early screener, albeit this is something we see time and time again. We've seen it with The Rise of Skywalker. It was an okay movie, nothing special. We've seen it with just about every big release from Disney. These sycophantic bitches go and watch the early screener, and then they give glowing reviews, whether it's good, bad or indifferent. So take it with a tiny pinch of salt, but from what I've seen from the trailers, I'm on board with it being a pretty damn good movie. But look guys, I'm going to move on. I've not got much more to add to that one. It's early screeners, early reviews, and I've done my bit by speaking about it and showing my excitement in general. The next one is another topic which I'm going to be also showing my excitement for. It's coming in from Digital Spy, and it's all about Guardians of the Galaxy potentially starring in the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder. This is according to Vin Diesel himself. They say Groot has spoken, and he has indeed. He was speaking to, I want to say it was probably Digital Spy, and he says that yes, if I can find the quote, it was comicbook.com he was speaking to. The director, of course Taika Waititi, talked to me about how Thor will incorporate some of the Guardians of the Galaxy. That'll be very interesting. Nobody knows. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Perhaps not, Vin. But yeah, we'll not go there. You have, and you've gave me a story to talk about, so I'm okay with it. I don't think Disney will, but that's for another day, I'm sure. He then goes on to say, we haven't shot it yet. This is another article. Might be in Guardians 3. We don't know. There's no definite yes or no on that. You'll have to wait and see. Look, now, we spoke about Guardians of the Galaxy. We spoke about Thor: Love and Thunder, I should say, on Heroes just yesterday, and I'm so excited for this movie for a whole array of different reasons. The fact that Christian Bale is popping up in this movie, potentially, well, guaranteed to be playing a villain now, because Tessa Thompson let that cat out the bag. They're becoming very leaky, are these MCU stars these days. First there was Mark Ruffalo taking a phone into the screener of Avengers Infinity War. Then there was poor old Tom Holland leaking left, right and centre. Then we had Tessa Thompson, and now we have Vin Diesel. But look, it's all good. As I did say, I get to speak about it, so I'm happy. But I digress. I'm really happy that Christian Bale is in there. I love the guy. He's one of my favourite actors of my lifetime. And I can't wait to see him potentially play a Dario Agger or a God, the God Slayer, I think he's called. And just him coming in and being the villain is going to be truly special to see. You then add on to that another layer of goodness, in that we could potentially see the Asgardians or Guardians of the Galaxy appearing in this movie. And just the magic that's going to be served up with that combination of Taika Waititi, his comedic flair, his brilliance, what he can do with these very funny characters anyway, alongside Thor, who has become an increasingly funny guy in the last few movies. Perhaps not The Dark World, but Infinity War, Endgame, and in Thor Ragnarok. This is going to be magic. I can't wait. He's one of my favourite characters anyway in the MCU. Thor. Chris Hemsworth is just a really funny guy in general, really charismatic guy. He bounced off of Mark Ruffalo and Tessa Thompson really well in Ragnarok. He really let his hair down, although he cut it in Ragnarok. He spoke glowingly about working under Taika Waititi, the creative freedom that was bestowed upon him, the fact that he could ad lib and just do something that was less Shakespearean, less stuffy. And then you have him working alongside Chris Pratt again, potentially. Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth, just their bickering, this sort of flexing and trying to impose their egos on each other, their masculinity. Who's the leader of the Guardians in Endgame? It was incredible, it was hilarious, that end sequence where he's like, yeah, sure, you're the leader, sure you are, things like that. We're going to get more of this if the Guardians appear in Thor. And just the concept of obviously Natalie Portman coming back and being this sort of other secondary Thor figure, wielding Mjolnir, and just all of this story, these story components coming together, the cast, Taika Waititi. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to see what goodness Taika is serving up in the script, how it's all going to combine together. And look, hopefully Vin Diesel's in there, because I have thoroughly enjoyed Groot in all of these Guardians movies, in the Endgame movie, in Infinity War. He's just a fantastic little character, and I hope Bradley Cooper's there as obviously Rocket Raccoon. I hope we get Drax back. I love Dave Bautista. I'm not really fussed over the antennae character, a bit crap. Maybe Gamora will be there. Perhaps the story will be about them going to try and find Gamora. Lord knows, but look, I'm so happy at the mere potential of having the Guardians of the Galaxy appear in Thor. I was hoping we'd get a sort of as Guardians of the Galaxy in Volume 3 anyway, and if this is maybe the pre-president, for lack of a better word for that, then I'm on board. But look, I ain't got much more to add. I'm excited for it, as I did say. Another little story that I am potentially excited for coming in here from MovieWeb is, and this is despite me not knowing much about the character or the movie from 1998, I want to say. This one's all about Spawn Reboot, still having Jamie Foxx in the leading role despite rumours of his exit. Now this is about Spawn. Apparently it was Todd McFarlane who created it. I think he was the guy who did the comics. Been out and speaking and discussing that they had lost an Academy Award winning guy from this reboot, the upcoming reboot. Speculation was then rife that it could be Jamie Foxx. Of course, he won for his portrayal as Ray Charles in Ray, and that got the rumour mill suckling furiously. But he's then subsequently come out and confirmed that it wasn't Jamie Foxx. He's still on board. That it was actually a writer of unknown identity who left the pre-production for this movie. He did say in a quote, "Last week I got some discouraging news. We had an Academy Award winning guy who was going to do the movie with us, but he fell off. We had people willing to fund the movie as long as we had the guy attached, but schedules were conflicting and things had to change. That's how close we got to getting this thing off the ground." But he then goes on to say, "Everybody in Hollywood wants an R-rated dark comic book movie, and Spawn is at the top of their list." I doubt that, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, having not had any contacts, not ever stayed in Hollywood. I'm sure this guy knows more than me. He says the phone calls are coming in fast and rapid. I've been talking to a couple of Academy Award people, and I got the investors lined up. It's changed ever since Joker, from being me begging them to do Spawn dark and creepy to them asking. So look, it's very exciting. I didn't know much about the movie. I've done some research on the character. I like the comic books, incidentally. I've had a little gander at some of them. Illustration wise and artistry wise, magnificent as ever. Most comic books are. But first and foremost, I really like the story of this guy Spawn, of this sort of guy dying and he goes to hell. He's an assassin. He makes a sort of bargain with the devil to go back and see his wife and obviously family one last time. When he spawns on Earth as this sort of burnt, hellish figure, he discovers that he has no memory of his life. He subsequently starts to bring it all back together, piece his life back together, goes and sees his wife and finds that she has taken up with his friend. 5 years have passed since his death, and she now has a young daughter. And he turns into vigilanteism and doing good when he realises that his power, once it runs out, will send him back to hell for eternity. So look, that is just ripe for a beautiful story. And he is absolutely right what he says here. It is ripe for an R-rated, dark and creepy movie. I've been willing a movie like this into existence ever since The Crow was a thing back in the 90s. That creepy sort of vibe we got from that. And I suppose we've had little glimpses into this with the likes of Joker and whatnot, but nowhere near enough for me. And I like this new era of comic book movies which are being served up. We've seen it with DC and Warner Brothers. They are increasingly looking to go dark, gritty and violent with R-rated movies. And now we're seeing it here with potentially a new Spawn movie. I've never seen the 98 movie, as I did say. I don't know what it was like. I don't know what rating it had. I don't even know who starred in it. I think it was Michael J. White. I think I read that in the article. So, I mean, having not seen it, I don't really know what to expect other than that brief origin sort of little bit of research that I delved into. But I feel like this is just ripe for a dark R-rated movie. I like the backstory. Obviously, casting would be incredibly important around the sort of Jamie Foxx leading role, but Jamie is just an incredible actor and an incredible artist. And guys, a sort of jack of all trades and master of all trades combined into one. He can dance, he can sing, he can rap, he can act. He was absolutely sublime alongside Michael B. Jordan in Just Mercy. And he's proven that he's won an Academy Award. He is magnificent, he can do everything. And I think he's tailor-made for this role. So I'm so glad to see that he hasn't stepped away, that he is still linked to it. He's attaching his name to it. And I'm glad to see that he's really upbeat, this guy, McFarlane. And that there's a whole array of studio executives, heads coming to him and pushing, wanting this movie to be made. So hopefully it will happen. Hopefully it will be akin to maybe a Deadpool with some humorous elements in there, in the midst of some dark, violent and gritty action, because that's what I want. I love Logan, I love Deadpool, I love R-rated comic book movies. Give me more of them, man. Give them to me. Give me it, as some people would say here in my city. Not saying who. But look guys, not got much more to add to that. So I'm going to move on to a slightly sombre little topic coming in from Screen Rant. This one's about Sony Pictures delaying yet another movie because of the growing concern over the ever expanding spread of the coronavirus over the Western world. Of course, it started in China back in December, China says, and it's now subsequently spread its way in like Slytherin's tentacle tails, as one William Dafoe said in The Lighthouse, to some of the more prominent countries in Europe, the likes of Italy and Germany and France, and now here. And this has led to Peter Rabbit 2 being delayed. And we've seen this last week with obviously James Bond 25, No Time to Die. It wasn't a surprise for me that movie had been delayed, because it's becoming a real threat. It's a real threat to all demographics, not just older people. And with this one being primarily aimed at the younger age demographics, you do not want to risk young people's lives. You don't want to endanger parents being dragged out just to make a quick buck, when you can delay it 5 months down the road to August and have people watch it anyway and make the Spondulix down the road. So I think this is a correct decision from Sony. I think it's the intelligent decision, and I think this is a decision we will see continuing throughout the rest of the next month or so, 2 months of releases. I think we will see more and more movies being delayed to the end of the year. I think perhaps Black Widow may get delayed. It looks like Mulan is going ahead, as I have spoken about. The early reactions are in. So Disney seem to be hedging their bets that this is all fake news, like Donald Trump. And I hope they're right, I have to tell you. But look, I think this is something we will see continuing as a sort of primary narrative over the next few months. We'll see more and more movies being delayed to the end of the year. It's a shame for film fans like me and Stephen that we will not have a chance to watch No Time to Die, that we will not see the continuing adventures of Domhnall Gleeson and James Corden in the Peter Rabbit franchise until August this year. But look, that is what it is. You can't really change it. And on that note, I'm going to move on. I felt I had to speak about this whole coronavirus thing again. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. But I'll move on now to the final topic on today's show. It's going to be very, very brief indeed. It is a brief little topic anyway. It's coming in from Screen Rant again, my favourite website that I like to go to for movie news. And this one is all about Doctor Strange director, of course, ex-Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness director Scott Derrickson has revealed a potential Hoth-Set Star Wars horror movie idea. Now, he did this via Twitter. I think there was some people pestering him over what he would like to do if he ever was thrust into a position to be actually making a Star Wars movie for Lucasfilm and Disney. And he replied in a succinct little tweet with just asked what kind of Star Wars movie I would make, and I answered that I would make Hoth, an R-rated frozen planet horror film in the vein of The Thing or Lovecraft's, I always say love, in the Mountain of Madness, with zero connection to any previous characters or storylines. Now, this is all very tongue-in-cheek. He's of course not been approached by Kathleen Kennedy. Lord forbid she would actually approach a sort of visionary horror director who could actually do something out the box and something distinctly different. Lord no. She likes to play the safe card all the time, and she likes to set it within the confines of obviously the Skywalker saga and just that ever small and shortening universe with the likes of Lando and whatnot. But look, that aside, I'd love to see Scott Derrickson coming in and doing something like this. This is something that Star Wars as a brand needs. It needs to step away from the traditional sort of space opera movie that we got from the likes of George Lucas and obviously the other guy, Irwin Kershner. And then in subsequent years, the likes of obviously J.J. Abrams tried his hand at it. And some people would say failed. I liked The Force Awakens. I was ambivalent towards the Rise of Skywalker. Rian Johnson's Last Jedi was a disaster for me. It wasn't a space opera, it was just crap in the main. But they have to get away from that. Times have changed. Do something different. Give us the traditional Star Wars movies by all means in a different era with this High Republic. Give us Old Republic. Give us completely new characters with the big bombastic space battles and Jedi and lightsabers and whatnot. Yes, but do something different with the IP, the brand. With a director like this, taking a concept which is horror based, unique, more independent in its scale, and in the confines of an original location like Hoth. Because if anyone is a Star Wars fan, they will realise that there is behind the scenes outtakes of Hoth where we have ominous sort of strips on doors that say danger, no entry. and just the concept of some beasts hanging around in the shadows on Hoth, which you don't want to be messing with, right up to the actual base, the actual Hoth base, mingling near the likes of Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia and Han Solo and whatnot. So certainly there is precedent for Hoth to have horror elements on it. We do have some nefarious creatures, none more so than that goddamn Yeti creature, which is completely eluded me the actual name of it, which is shocking. I have a Star Wars hat on, I'm a big Star Wars fan. Obviously Luke dismembers its arm. If you know the name of that creature, you can comment below and let me know what it is, but it's been established that we have some nefarious animals hanging around in the shadows, so I would love to see this. The Thing is one of my all-time favourite monster psychological horror movies. I don't know much about Lovecraft, so I can't speak about In the Mountains of Madness, but I do know that that man had a vivid imagination and some very interesting monstrous creatures. So look, Lord knows what Scott Derrickson could do with a Star Wars movie set in the confines of Hoth. It would be truly magnificent to see what this man's mind could conjure up. But sadly it won't happen, and I'm really dismayed about that. But look guys, I'm done speaking. I went down a rabbit hole, probably the second last topic in. I started losing the plot slightly, but I tried to get over the line and hopefully I managed it with reasonable success. What was your thoughts, guys, on the array of topics that I spoke about on today's show? What was your thoughts on Disney's Mulan? Should it be going ahead in its current release slot? What was your thoughts on the overwhelming positive early reactions for this movie? What was your take on perhaps the Guardians of the Galaxy appearing in Thor Love and Thunder? Do you think it's a good idea? What do you think about Spawn reboots? Do you think Jamie Foxx should be in it? Do you think he's great for it? Are you happy he's still aligned to it? What do you make about Peter Rabbit being delayed and Scott Derrickson potentially making a horror movie set on Hoth? If you have anything to say about any of those topics I've spoke about, you can comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. Down below in the comment section you can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content, and if you do then you will see me again tomorrow for another episode of MBE Movie News.